The show's about the mayor of Los Angeles, who I play. I have a 15, 16-year-old daughter who's very upset with me because I decided to prove to myself that I still have something left, and I ran for the mayor, the office of the mayor, during a special election. I'm a billionaire. Yeah, this is day one. You open with day one, his first press conference, and we're off and running. So there's an amazing cast of people, Holly Hunter, who I've never worked with, is very exciting. Bobby Moynihan is incredibly funny, and we just have a great team of actors led by the writing of Tina Fey and Robert Carlock. So it's kind of like working for the aristocracy of comedy. With people like Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, they almost don't have to write a script for you want to be part of whatever they're doing. That's kind of my philosophy in acting. Go find the brightest people in the room and then say, can I be part of whatever you're doing? And that's kind of the case with this. First off, Holly Hunter is very, we've only rehearsed together so far, but she is ferocious, and her character hates me. Everything about me is what she is, against in life. And Holly Hunter is so funny and so ferocious in her portrayal of this. I think people are going to go, whoa. Bobby Moynihan, he walks into a room and you're about to laugh. You don't quite know why, but he's one of those people that has always done that for me. So far, of the scenes that we've shot, I love the scene with my daughter in the back of a car where I'm trying desperately to win her favor because she's so mad at me that I did this. And it's fun to go from kind of full of himself, billionaire, thinks he's the bee's knees, to dealing with a 15, 16-year-old daughter and just getting my clock cleaned. So that was fun.
I play Orly Brimmer, Neil's daughter. Orly's, really smart and fun. She's kind of going through her teenage years right now, so she's got a little bit of an attitude sometimes, which I think is really fun to play. Lots of fun eye rolls and banter with my dad, so it's really fun. Orly is running for her sophomore class president, which is really fun what she gets, and it's really fun to see the dynamic between her and her dad and how they kind of work together and kind of have the same stances on some things, and then they don't really see eye to eye on others. So it's really cool. Orly and her dad have a really close relationship because it's pretty much just been the two of them for as long as she can remember. And, even though now they're sort of having a few moments where they're getting into that argumentative stage, they always have each other's back, and they have a lot of really great, sweet family moments, which I think is great for the show. The moments are very relatable because, obviously you love your parents to death and they love you, but you always have a few moments where you bicker and things like that, but you always have each other's back at the end of the day. Working with Ted Danson has been so amazing. When I saw that he was attached to the project, I was beyond excited because he's such a legend. And he's so kind and humble, and it was really easy to build a connection with him. I remember screen testing, I met him, and it felt like we'd been friends for so long, which is really special. Working with Tina and Robert is crazy. I don't feel like I should be allowed to be on set. They're so intelligent and funny, and just kind of listening to their notes and observing them on set. I feel like it's such an honor to kind of see all these amazingly talented people work every day. When I first got the script, I had gone in for the callback, and they sent it to me, and I was laughing the whole time. I remember I was like, this is so good. And I think just seeing the family aspect and the humor was something really that connected with me, because I love to laugh just as everybody else, but I think that the heartwarming moments really bring something special to the show that is going to want to make people keep tuning in.
The show is about Neil Bremer, played by Ted Danson, who is the mayor of LA, and how he deals with his daughter and his new job and his staff, who happens. I'm one of his staff members. I play Jaden Quapis, who's the interim director of communications. I got it right, I think. Interim director of communications. I'll get it right by season 8, hopefully. The show is a workplace comedy or a family comedy more so than just about politics in general. Jaden's relationship with Neil is he just wants him to like him. He wants him. Jaden just wants to be part of it. I think he kind of looks at Neil as a probably a father figure more so than he wants a dad. I think. Yeah, I think. You need to have a Jaden around to throw somebody under the bus, and that's my job. One of the themes of the show is definitely like what's next. You know, what happens next after, especially after a big occasion or event in your life. You know, when SNL ended, I was on SNL for a long time, and when it ended, you go like, oh gosh, what do I do now? You know, and because it was like, that's all I wanted in life, and now that's gone. So what do you do now? And it turns out you get on another TV show with Ted Danson and Holly Hunter. And that is a great idea if you can do it. Being on a show with Ted Danson and Holly Hunter is the greatest. Very humble, wonderful people who are they're clearly prepared. They are great at their jobs, and I learned more from watching them in the first rehearsal than I did in 10 years of working. It's just that they've been on TV for a long time. You know, those guys know what they're doing, and it's fascinating to watch. We had a rehearsal the other day where we just kind of got to improvise and play around with the cast, and it was a phenomenal experience. They're all very wonderfully talented and giving actors, and then she talks, and you're like, gosh, that's the mom from Incredibles. It's the greatest. Working on a show created by Robert and Tina is absolutely a dream. I had heard legend of Robert Carlock as a writer when he was on SNL, and Tina as well is absolutely prolific there. And when you realize just their contribution to that show alone, and what they've done since they've left is absolutely insane. I got to do a couple episodes of Kimmy Schmidt, and I remember thinking, like, can I just stay? Can I be on this show? Because you guys write amazingly well, and I want to read all the words that you write all the time. So the fact doing that show and getting that job, and I met Carlock there, to now getting this is just, I mean, I feel an embarrassment of riches right now.
It's about power, status, class, transactional behavior, and kind of a philanthropic, a real desire to do good. I mean, I think that it inhabits all of those things. And I think, that there are definitely some personal, it operates on a really personal level, a private level, that could mean war. But, it's got a lot of very interesting, enticing planes that it runs on. It's a pleasure, it's a relief for me, because I started out doing some comedies, and I did comedies in the theater. Then I kind of veered away until I got to The Big Sick, and then kind of came back into that world. Now, this is really that world, because Tina and Robert pull no punches, and they really are just the next level of great. So, that in a way is what the script really is about. Is like, can we be funny? Please. I think for him, Arpy is an enigma, and somebody who you can't really get a grip on her. and I think she's elusive in that way, and revels in being elusive, revels in the quickness of getting out from under one's thumb. I think Arby's a bit of a wild card. It's a privilege for me to get to learn from Ted. He's got such a great sense of humor about himself. He has such humility. He's kind of a truth teller. I mean, Ted will just tell you the truth about who he is, about how he feels. There's just something unguarded about him that I love. You know, that people, I think, feel safe with him. They feel close to him. He wears his humanity lightly. And we know all this about Ted because he's been giving this to us for years, and nobody gets tired of it because it's real. I mean, it's the truth about Ted, and he can effortlessly bring that to the screen, and he has a kind of relaxation about his work that is just I so envy, and it's rare. His comic timing is, you know, unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe that I'm working with Ted and Tina and Robert. I think that everything that I've said feels like it sets it apart for me, just in terms of a read, an experience of beginning to explore this show with this group of fantastically gifted people. Vella Lovell and Mike Cabellon are also in the cast. Bobby Moynihan. I mean, you know, these are people who they're comedians and comedians. They are also looking for what's funny, and you know, that's just, it makes you feel alive in a different way as an actor. That is kind of, that's on the agenda, and that's kind of high up on the agenda. I mean, it's fun, and it's also a bit of a science. So I'm working with a bunch of scientists who are really good at these equations, and I know that I can learn from them, and I am.
The show is about a man named Neil Bremer, played by Ted Danson, who is happily retired but kind of realizes he might need to have a third act in his life and run for mayor of Los Angeles, just to kind of prove to his teenage daughter that he has something to contribute to the world.
Yeah, he's gotten to a point in his life where he's achieved a certain amount of success, and he thinks he's satisfied and done, and realizing that maybe he wants one more bite at the apple.
We write workplace comedies for the most part. I guess Kimmy's not, but like we like workplace comedies, and we also each have a family, and so the idea of someone who's trying to get back into the workforce but also have a home life, and those two different kind of shows coming together, we love an ensemble workplace comedy as much as any American.
Yeah, and as you said, we haven't really done that family tension, really. A lot of 30 Rock was about Liz Lemon trying to balance those things, but while trying to find what her idea of a family was. The idea of someone having a kid who's giving them a hard time, and that the way that dynamic works, and the way someone as high status and funny and important as not just Ted, but the character of Neil is, he can still fall apart in front of this 15-year-old, is a really fun way to get story and to get at character stuff.
This is definitely not a show about politics. It's a show about people. It's about relationships within the workplace, and also about parenting and how scared you can be of your teenager. We met with Ted first and showed him the pilot script that we had, and we're so psyched that he liked it. I mean, he's an absolute idol of both of ours, I feel.
And he's talking about what the show is and the ideas behind the show and what the show is becoming as we write more and more of it. It's so much inspired by him, by his set of skills, but also his willingness to go into things like his own age, and you know, the idea of his own experience as a parent, and these other things that are so sort of fruitful.
And the great thing about getting someone like Ted on board with the show is then all of a sudden everyone else is like, yes, I'll do that show. So Bobby Moynihan was next, I think,
Yeah.
and then Holly Hunter we met with, and again, we couldn't believe it. She was like, yeah, okay. And we're like, really? You know you're Holly Hunter, right?
You don't have to.
You don't have to work with us. We're dummies. So, and it's just been building from there, and it's incredibly exciting. The thing that's so nice about Ted as Neil is he's a character who's willing to learn, who is open, at this place in his life when he could be very shut off and in a bubble, a rich guy bubble. He wants to learn, and he wants to contribute meaningfully, and he wants to, make things, the world a better place for his daughter.
And one of the fun things with Ted is that he's so lovable and charming that you can let him be wrong in ways that not all actors can get away with, and let him grow and learn from those mistakes that we're looking forward to exploring.
Yeah. And I don't know, thematically, it's also, I guess, about, we like to write shows where you just assemble a bunch of very different people with very different points of view and kind of let them boil with each other. And I think it is about, in some ways, the way we all feel of like everyone's got a very different POV on everything. And how do we coexist? I started to whisper because we're rolling. That's positive, you don't mind? We have written stories about how parenting just keeps changing as your kids grow, and the things that you thought you're like, I'm nailing it, I'm doing, and then they need entirely different set of things from you. And I think he's learning that, right?
Yeah, and this is someone who was in the business world for a long time and knew a certain set of rules and stepped out of the world for a little bit and is generationally closer to being her grandfather. And so the kind of hurdles and things that he's trying to cope with as a single father, as a widower, are kind of above and beyond, hopefully comically so.
Hopefully in good ways reminds us of 30 Rock, getting to write for a big ensemble in a workplace. At the same time, I think it has more heart from jump because of the father-daughter story. That's the hope. I think going into this, coming off of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is the last thing that we did, not that that was high concept, but this is a very low concept comedy in a way that it's just like, our hope is just that people will enjoy this ensemble and want to hang out with them, want to spend time with them as they go through their kind of everyday experiences.
Yeah, and I think as much as the show isn't political, the fact that it's a workplace full of people who chose politics means that it's a group of people who want to do good one way or another, and they often disagree about how they're going to do good, but their ultimate goal with each other, with the city, whatever, is to do the best thing. And we think that that'll also help give the workplace heart too.
I think it's a really super strong ensemble of performers where every single person is funny, top to bottom.
Yeah. We're both just excited to be back on NBC and doing broadcast television. It's a different kind of rhythm, it's different kinds of jokes and relationships, but ones that we grew up with and that we've always loved.